friends, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is going to be a reading for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions for the week of November 8th to the 14th. So let's get started and see what messages and what major themes we have for Gemini as they move through their week. Potential always comes up, protection, and purity. 3P messages for you, Gemini. Interesting. Purity, protection, and potential. Okay, so that really, I see trees, I see mountains, and I see a beautiful wolf, which says to me connecting back into nature is going to help you realize your potential and perhaps actually help you purify any sort of misaligned or unnecessary energy or experiences that you're hanging on to. I feel like connecting to nature is going to be where you find that clarity and see your true potential without any sort of limits or barriers. And as I say that, I cut the deck and I receive the Lovers in one hand and the Eight of Swords in the other. This card represents you, Gemini, so that's why I mention it. The Lovers represents you in tarot, and then the Eight of Swords is really a time of overthinking things, and that to me is like this sort of this idea of fearing consequences, fearing outcomes, not trusting that everything will be okay, not trusting in the protection, and not really realizing the full potential because you're afraid of the outcome. Fearing consequences, sort of feeling like it's not going to go in your favor for some reason. Interesting. Okay, so let's see what the tarot cards can add to this story. The Eight of Swords remains on the bottom of the deck, you guys, so that's very interesting. That is a theme here for you of overthinking potentially. Hierophant in reverse with the Seven of Swords. Oh, that's interesting. I feel like you're deceiving yourself. To me, when I see these two cards together, that says to me that you're in self-deception mode here. You're denying yourself the truth about something, perhaps your potential. Perhaps you're denying yourself the truth of your potential because you're afraid of the outcomes of doing something differently. Top of mind for you is the idea that you need to make a decision, but you feel like you're not sure how to get there, how to make it, which one to choose. It seems to be creating, this scenario where you almost feel like you can't see the whole picture. Okay, so you're really challenged here in this Two of Swords in reverse. I'll just flip it so you can look at it. And notice how the water in the background is quite still. The water in the background is still, and there's a new moon in the sky. So to me, that says that your surroundings are actually much calmer than you might believe they are. You're wearing a blindfold, so you can't really take it all in. You're sort of just relying on limited amount of information here. You've blocked one of your key senses with that. And it's interesting because, you do have a theme developing here, my friend, of choices and fearing outcomes, but always wearing the blinder in the 8 and in the 2. So it's like you need more information here. You need to appreciate the fact that you're not certain. Okay, the Queen of Swords is always a figure of certainty to me. She knows exactly who she is and holds her sword in sort of defense of herself. And the Queen of Swords is really this figure here of, Libra energy. So it is air energy. It's not you, Gemini, but it's, your certainty could be a major issue here because you're almost deceiving yourself with this certainty. Does that make sense? Sometimes we need to introduce doubt and say, are we sure? Are we sure I'm still this person? Are we sure? Am I sure about my certainty? Perhaps I've changed, right? Perhaps I've changed. Perhaps I'm no longer this version of myself. Okay. And it's interesting. I just noticed that the camera is going to pause. 1 second. Okay, I apologize. I had to step away to make sure that the video kept going. Okay, so we were talking about your level of certainty and how this level of certainty could actually be creating some deception here. You could be denying something to yourself, the truth, in fact. The Hierophant is very much a card of understanding the conventional truth. And you're challenged to do that, I think, because you're deceiving yourself. You're deceiving yourself. You're not stepping into your authenticity because you feel sure you know who you are, Gemini. But I feel like you may have changed. And that's where we see this potential card. You're almost denying your potential by being so certain that you know who you are. And it's almost like you need to be purified of that. You need to be purified of that certainty because it's not protecting you. It's actually holding you back. This protection card, I think, is coming in to say, stop denying this to yourself. Do you know what I mean? It's very interesting. That's what's driving your reading, though. Your level of certainty is creating this dynamic where you feel you have to make a decision, but you can't see the whole picture. I think because you're denying a large part of the truth about your potential. You're denying that to yourself. Now, seeing the Page of Cups come up in reverse in the recent past says to me that you have been sort of unclear about your own potential because you're sort of at the beginning of transforming, and it's too much of a challenge, and it feels like a challenge, I think, because you're operating from a perspective that says you're A, when really you transitioned and shifted your energy and your direction potentially into something else. You're not A, you're B. Do you know what I mean? Like you've changed and you're not expressing that change. It's like you're not choosing that for yourself. And so you're finding it difficult to sort of understand. You might be in the pursuit of truth, but you're denying the truth to yourself. It's like you're pursuing the truth, but because of your level of mental certainty about who you are and too many convictions, too many beliefs about yourself, maybe limiting beliefs. You have too many beliefs that are in concrete narrative in your mind, and they're holding you back. Now, in the upcoming future, we see the Emperor, which is Aries energy, very fiery, masculine energy that comes along to say, I'm going to redefine things. I'm the authority here. So this is encouraging. This tells me maybe you are going to see your potential in the near future. Maybe something is going to shift with respect to you releasing some of these beliefs that you're hanging on to, and you're going to sort of allow this transformation to happen that was initiated in the past. I really feel like connecting with nature is going to help you with the purification of the old, like to sort of remove the old and allow the new, and to purify in between. But this Emperor coming up for you says to me that you're going to lead your own path with a lot of authority and confidence, and you may lead others, but for sure you will be bringing yourself to the table in a very confident way. And perhaps you will see the truth. But the other aspect of the Emperor here says to me that maybe your belief about those limiting beliefs, see that sword there? Maybe you're going to hang on to them as you move forward. You will move forward, but maybe you're going to carry that sword with you from the Queen of Swords here. You're going to carry that sword into the future here with the Emperor. So I feel like your lesson here is to let go of these beliefs. Release them. Release them and allow yourself to see your potential without them. You know what I mean? See your potential without these limiting beliefs. Ace of Swords, which is coming up as your inner dialogue. You know this has got to happen. I feel like you know you need a new start. You need to start thinking about things in a new way. You need to adopt a new mental perspective and release an old one. There is a stagnated mental energy around you right now. I was going to say Taurus, Gemini, where you're You're needing to purify yourself of that energy so that you can start again, mentally, sort of tabla rasa, blank slate, no previous self-limiting beliefs allowed, right? Releasing this Queen of Swords. Interesting. The Hermit, yeah. And your outer expression, very much this Virgo energy of the Hermit, where you're needing to reflect on some of this stuff that has happened in the past so that you can release this. This really syncs up with the purity message because it's time to purify. It's time to release the old beliefs, the limits, the concrete ideas you have about yourself need to be released so that you can fully see the potential in yourself, and to release any fear of that because you're protected, right? There is protection around you. I feel like you're being redirected, but through the pathway of your thinking, through your mental pathway, you're being redirected to choose a new way of thinking. Right? And it's fraught with worry. You're freaking out a little bit here, my dear, and you're concerned about consequences, and maybe you don't feel protected. Maybe you feel like you're on your own here. And so you're worried about outcomes here. You're worried about it. King of Rods in reverse. That is interesting. That is really a time where you don't believe that you can connect your vision to the external world. You don't believe you can generate change. You don't believe you can evolve again. I feel like you don't trust in your own potential, which is why you're denying it to yourself here. It's very interesting. And yet a part of you does have a vision that you want to connect. There is something you want to do that feels really purposeful and very connected to you on an almost spiritual level, like definitely through you're expressing this through your soul, right? And it's that life force that's pushing you sort of to do this, but you're challenged to do it because it's almost like you're like, I don't think I can. I don't think I can. How am I going to do this? Instead of just doing it, worrying about the how, worrying about, well, who's gonna, what are people gonna think? And this goes against what I believed at one point, and I need to surrender that belief before I can move forward. And I feel like that's true. I feel like there's some self-limiting beliefs here that you feel are certain, that you almost need to purify yourself to move forward with a blank slate, which is also why that Hermit is coming up. Yeah, you've ended a cycle. There's the World. That's the final card here. And so, we saw that 8 of Swords, which says that you're fearing outcomes. Well, you've reached the end of the chapter, my friends. You've reached the end of the chapter. So it's time to purify and begin again, to realize the potential of the experience that you've just gone through here, right? And to release the certainty that you hold about who you are and what you're here to do, because I feel like you're transitioning. You're resisting the transition, as we see in the Page of Cups in reverse. You're resisting that transformation, but the cycle's complete. You are ready to move into the next phase. And so you must be feeling that pressure, because I feel all of these swords here are saying we need to adopt a new mental perspective before we move forward into the next learning, right? The next chapter. The card that comes after this goes right back to the beginning, and you started as the Fool again, starting your journey, right? The journey of self-discovery. Interesting. Very interesting, Gemini. Now let's see here, what final guidance message can we offer Gemini as we close this reading to help Gemini feel that they, are sort of in a place where they almost need to just stop thinking too much about all of the things that could go wrong and start just going for it. I feel like there are so many limiting beliefs here. No wonder you can't see your potential. Healing, yeah. You got the healing card here. So be gentle with yourself. Balance the lower chakras, which would be your root chakra, your sacral chakra, and your solar plex chakra. So your statements that make you feel secure, your emotions that make you feel like you're creating something, like we saw with that King of Rods. And the solar plex is that confidence that says, I can do this. I can do this. So you are worthy of love. Practice self-care. You are enough. So there is an element of healing that needs to happen here, which is what we saw with the purity card, I think. And this idea that reflecting on things to sort of, to heal, to clear that fear, to clear doubt, to believe in yourself again, and to integrate that masculine energy that acts. Like act in a new inspired way, but to always remember that you're worthy and that you are enough, and to care for yourself as you go through this purification and realizing your potential by balancing those lower chakras, really looking at where you feel your identity, how you are grounded into this world, where your feelings are at, and with respect to your creativity, and then your personal power center, your I can. So I think I'm going to leave it at that for you, Gemini. If this has resonated for you and you would like a little bit more of a personal reading, you can find my email in the description below. And as always, thank you so much, you guys, for liking, subscribing, and watching. And we'll see you again very soon for another reading. Sending you lots of love and light, my friends.